All right, thank you everyone and welcome to the Fall 2019 Returner Training for the Mav Market. So I'm going to share my screen now with you so that way we can just go through this presentation real quick and we can work through some of the different materials and spreadsheets that we're going to be going through. So this is going to be provided to you as a URL link via email, and there's also the training guide that you've received in the calendar invite, and you'll also get another copy of it in the follow-up email. So just to reiterate what we do at the Mav Market, you guys know we try to reduce food insecurity, we promote a healthy lifestyle, we engage the community, and we act as an inclusive space. And all of the volunteers have been incredible in upholding this mission. So thank you for a very successful year. We opened in October of 2017 in the Bronx. We're sponsored by Student Life. And in the Bronx and Manhattan, we are partnered with Food Bank for New York City. And that's where we source most of our food. In Dobbs Ferry, we get it from Feeding Westchester. If you'll notice some of the quirky odds and end kind of items that we get, Feeding Westchester does an excellent job of finding very interesting items to help us stock the pantry with. So essentially, at the Mav Market, we aim to eliminate the struggle of having to balance classes and being able to obtain sufficient amounts of food as to promote academic and personal success. And thanks to your help, we actually distributed over 8,200 pounds of food to the Mercy community since 2017. And about 7,500 pounds of that was just from last year. And so that's from the effort and work of all of the incredible volunteers and supporters throughout the community. So big shout out to that. So just to reiterate, we take confidentiality here pretty seriously. You know, names and information that you learn from this, the volunteer program and from your relationship with any of the recipients of goods and services during your volunteer efforts must be kept in confidence. And so all of my returners have already signed a confidentiality form at some point, so I do have those on file. So don't worry about having to re-sign anything. Just a reminder that, you know, report up, not out if you are, you know, faced with any type of information that you feel like could be, you know, barring someone from being able to, you know, live essentially in a way that is, you know, promoting personal success. Or let's say someone comes in, they say they're experiencing homelessness, make sure that gets back to me so I can connect them with the resources that they need. So basic responsibilities, very similar to last year: support the mission of the pantry, be familiar with policies and procedures of the pantry, be aware of other resources and organizations available, which we have on our website, which you will get a URL to in the follow-up email. Be punctual, dependable, and reliable. Let me know, you know, what's going on. If something's like, oh, I have to, I'm, you know, just got out of class, I'm running 5 minutes late, totally fine. Shoot me or the student worker a text to let them know. That way, you know, we can just continue to operate the pantry on time. We don't want any volunteers to overlap each other or have to like fill in when they need to go. So just be aware of that. Also sign up for at least 2 shifts per month. It's definitely recommended for 2 shifts, but if you want to do more or less, you know, let me know and we'll work it out from there. Also, you're going to have to, this is a new policy, is participate in the Feeding Westchester food safety training. This is an online course, very similar format to this. It's not live. I will send you the URL to do that, and we'll go over that in just a second. Next is to protect the confidentiality of pantry users. Also be reasonably accessible through phone or email. I send a lot of emails, that's my primary mode of contact, but I'll also be setting up a group me this year for each respective campus, as well as, you know, if you need to text me through phone, that's the easiest way to get in contact, just let me know. Also, give me at least 24 hours notice if you can't make your designated shift. That's totally fine, you know, that way I can try to get someone else to cover your shift. But anything less than that is very much an imposition and can be very difficult to work around. And I would prefer to not have to shut down the pantry for an hour's period of time because someone told me 20 minutes before their shift that they can't make it anymore. But of course, things happen, life happens. We'll work it out. but again, really try for that 24 hours notice. And one other thing that I'm implementing is a 2-shift miss policy. So if you miss 2 of your shifts without a legitimate excuse, then you're not allowed to volunteer with the Mav Market anymore. I've run into too many problems with this, and I would rather not have to deal with that type of situation. So please try to be dependable. When you sign up for a shift, be at that shift. Let me know otherwise. So this is the food safety training. We're just going to follow it real quick. So it's a video. All you have to do is I ask that you sign in, and then you would enter your Mav or your Mercy email. So for me, it's msherman3@mercy.edu. You would hit next. We'll go back, and then you would complete this safety training, and then it will tell you, all right, you've been certified, and it has like easy questions in it that relate to the material that was presented. And then all I ask is that you take a screenshot of the completed session and send it to me, because what happens is once you finish this, it gets sent back to Feeding Westchester, and then you'll be sent the certification, but it has actually, like, it takes up to 3 months to get that certification, like in paper form, because that's how regularly they check it. So I would just prefer if you gave me a screenshot of it. And the reason we're doing this is because all of our food pantries require that at least one person who is food safe certified is in the pantry during open hours. And so this food safety training is actually recognized at our Bronx, Manhattan, and Dobbs Ferry campuses, and this is just the easiest one, so I wanted to make sure this was something that was feasible for all of my volunteers. So I would just encourage you to complete that. It doesn't take more than 30 minutes. They say it's an hour. It took me about 20. So just be mindful of that, and you will get this link in the follow-up email, as I said. So interacting with Mav Market members, you guys have done a fantastic job so far. Greet members with a welcoming attitude, and ask new users to fill out an intake form, and we'll go over that a little bit more in a second just to review. Ask how many people they're picking up for. That is definitely a key item that you want to make sure that you have in your mind. Ask how many people they're picking up for. Engage in conversation if the patrons want to. Listen, be polite, serve in a professional manner. Try to wear closed-toed shoes just because we're working with food, and that is a food safe policy. And then, of course, report all concerns or problems to either myself or one of the student workers who will be overseeing the volunteers. If you encounter an aggravated or upset patron, just remember to stay calm, keep your volume below theirs, and try to de-escalate the situation more than anything. If they are looking for a specific resource and it's not you, then you can just direct them to it. Let's say they're looking for the PACT office. If you know where it is, just direct them there. Or let's say we have someone who comes in who hasn't eaten in a few days. Make sure you get them to, let's say, the counseling center, or you get them the items that they need, let them pick up stuff here, and just try to de-escalate that and let me know and connect them with the resources. So let's say this person is experiencing homelessness. On the resources page, there is, under our resources Mav Market tab, a specific outlined section that has resources for people experiencing homelessness. So that's just something to keep in mind. So operating the pantry, all materials are found in the Bronx and Dobbs Ferry and Manhattan folders on Google Drive. So everything will be switching over to OneDrive now that we've moved over in Mercy. So let's go to the folders. And when you're operating, make sure you have the following spreadsheets open. The intake form, you can have it primarily in English, though I would encourage you to also have the Spanish one open. The member check-in, the recertification form for this semester, and the inventory sheet. So the member intake form, let's go over that real quick. Get out of my way. So this is the Bronx Mav Market intake form. So we have the same information that's been asked for in the past. The only things that we've changed is we are now asking, so when we ask for how many people rely on you to be fed, if they say it's more than one person, then we ask how many, the age of each individual they pick up for. And this is just because we need to report it back to our food banks, Feeding Westchester and Food Bank for New York City. And it's very straightforward information. And then the next thing that is completely optional is a food security survey. This is quite confidential information, actually. So if someone does not feel comfortable answering these questions, they are not obligated to do so. And, you know, when they're filling it out, you don't have to kind of watch over them or anything like that. Just make sure that, you know, they feel okay. If they have any questions, you're welcome to answer them. And this is just a basic screener from the USDA, and I will be the one to work through the data, so you guys don't have to worry about that. And then we have the basic information here, blah, blah, blah. And while they're filling this out, you want to be generating their Mav Market ID number. And you remember that it's the order in which they came in, the date, and then hyphen their family size. So let's say they're the 102nd person to come in, it's the 6th of September, and they have a family size of 4. So they have 2 kids and a partner. That would be 10296-4. And you would enter that in here. You'd fill out the card, and you'd have them fill it out in the intake form. So it's just easier for us to backtrack. And then they would certify that they're in need of food assistance because they're having difficulty feeding their families. And so to remember, you always, 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 to have someone fill out this form, because this is just like us editing it, you want to click the preview eyeball button. So it's the preview eyeball button. And this is the one that they can fill out. And then once you have someone who signs up, let's go to the check-in sheet. So this is still for the Bronx. So you're going to go to this area over here. So let's say I just signed up today. We'll do my email at Mercy, whatever. Okay. And then we put in my new number. So it'd be 11096-1. And we wouldn't put anything in there. I'm an adult, and 0. And then you would mark off 1. Bam, that's the day I came in. And one other thing you're going to do is you're going to unhighlight my name. And so moving forward, we're going to go into the recertification form now. So you'll see that a lot of these names are highlighted in like a very light green. And this is because these are returning members who have not done the recertification form. So the recertification form is just to have students who are coming back to fill out the form again, but also to include the new information that we're screening for. So the dependent information as well as the food security survey. And you're going to, once they complete that, you would, let's say this person. So let's say they have 2 kids and it's just themselves and 1. So you would input that information in here. And it's pretty straightforward. And then once, you know, you would fill it out, you would unhighlight their name. And then you would check off that they came in. And this is to just, you know, when people come in and they're like, oh, I'm here to sign up for or I'm here for the Mav Market, I have my ID card, or I had my email, check me in. Make sure that they fill out that member ID, that recertification form. But again, they do not have to fill out the food security survey if they're not comfortable with it. And then they're welcome to change their campus on here and, you know, ask questions, things like that. But that's something that I'll be taking care of. Just make sure you get the family size in the member intake form and their email. And if they cannot find their Mav Market ID number, you're welcome to regenerate a new number for them and just input them into the system again. But if they swear that they signed up for the Mav Market, that's totally fine. So you can find out if they did sign up by going into the intake form, going to responses, hitting this, and just looking through the emails to see if the email that they described is in here. But you're probably not going to run into that. But if you do, you know, that's just something to keep in mind. All right, so that is checking members in. And I did not go in today. I'm going to delete that. All right. And then the next thing to do is inventory. It's the same as last year. Straightforward, you'd only be doing this if you're opening or closing. So we have everything separated out by the date, then the category, pasta cereals, and then let's say you have something that's assorted. That means it's of the same type and of the same size within to above or below the same ounce like amount. So for example, pasta, we have assorted pastas, like let's say we have elbow macaroni, farfalle, or rigatoni, but they're all 16 ounces. We don't need to separate them out. We would just put in, 3 at that point. And then at the end of the day, we count up how many we have left, and then you would put in, let's say we distributed 1, so we would have 1 left. The only time you would want to, delineate if you have a different type of pasta is if it's a different size. So we have whole wheat spaghetti that's only 12 ounces as opposed to 16. So you want to make sure you're separating that out, because that's like a whole quarter of a pound less, and that just, misconstrues our numbers. So we'll put 1 in here, and then it auto calculates out right here. And then over here is when it calculates out how many pounds we distributed, how many meals that equates to, and then I would put in how many members at the end of the day, and it'll tell us how many pounds per person were distributed and the meal equivalent. So that is inventory. And then each time you come in, the date that you're in for is going to be up and open. So I'll be the one kind of behind the scenes making sure these spreadsheets are up and ready to go for you guys. And if you ever run into a situation where you're like, I need to run, I can't do inventory, that's totally fine, just let me know. Or if, of course, you're not comfortable with doing it, I would be more than happy to come in and sit down with you and like go through how to do inventory. My suggestion is try to do it in pairs, because it's easiest that way. And one other thing we're implementing is we're doing a quick check of bags. We didn't really do it all that much last year, but we were running into some problems of people taking like copious amounts of one item. So we just want to have someone, when they come in, they shop, before they leave, just have them open their bag, show it to us. We're not counting points, we're just making sure they're, not taking an excess. But if they are, our mentality is more along the lines of, okay, how can we connect you with resources that are more appropriate to your needs, rather than you shouldn't be taking that much, give it back. So if someone, let's say, comes in and they have they're really struggling, then what we're going to do is, connect them with a food pantry in their area, or help them apply for SNAP, something like that. And we have plenty of brochures, pamphlets, and resources on our website to reference. So inventory and maintenance, we just went through that. You log the products before and after. Help direct members to products that they request. Kind of familiarize yourself with what we have. You would track and shelve all donated food items, and that's a separate training if you wanted to learn more about how to input donated items. It's a very similar process to the inventory. It's just a different spreadsheet. Shelve all food items, toiletries, and supplies in their designated areas. You'll learn more about why we do this in the food safety training, but it's essentially to prevent any cross-contamination. Next, constantly rotate items, ensuring the oldest is put in the front so that way it goes out more quickly. Definitely check and sort through food items and evaluate their freshness, and get rid of anything that has been expired. But we do have a very detailed explanation of the best by dates and sell by dates and expiration dates, and how long you can keep certain items past that. And of course, you're going to get more of an in-depth training about that during the food safety certification, but we also have the paper resources in the pantry. But you won't be kind of running into that unless you're doing the donation sorting through with me. And then cleaning after every pantry day, disinfect and wipe down surfaces that are exposed to food. So that would be if we had, let's say, like a sample on the desk or something like that. We have Lysol wipes in all of the locations, and you would just wipe it down to disinfect it. In Dobbs Ferry specifically, you're going to want to empty the trash bins at the end of the day, because the cleaning staff is not able to come in and take stuff out of the trash. So I'm actually going to be putting it outside in front of the door in the hallway area just before you come in. And then always check for damages to shelving units, boxes, cans, things like that. When we're doing donations, we might have slipped and not seen a heavy dent in a can or something along the ridges, things like that. Additionally, in Dobbs Ferry specifically, we've had issues with our shelving units starting to cave in. So we don't want all of that to fall over. So just be very mindful of that. Also, let's go on to the timesheets. Very, very similar to last semester. So you would go to the Mav Market team folder, select the spreadsheet for your location, enter your availability, and then you'll receive your official hours from me via email. So let's see, where do we have it? Okay, so this is the Dobbs Ferry timesheet. And as you can see, you would enter your name, your email, the hours that you're available, the hours that you are not available, and then whether or not you speak Spanish, and if there are any notes. For example, this individual can come in from 11:30 to 1. That's totally fine. Next, at all 3 locations, we'll have restocking and inventory. In Dobbs Ferry, it's going to be the first Monday of every month, subject to change, of course. But essentially, this is when we get orders in from our regional food banks, and it typically goes all day because we have to sort through items and make sure they're still fresh, because a lot of times we'll get things that have expired like 5 years ago, and it's good to make sure we're going through that. And that's a separate training for another time. But if you're interested in volunteering and doing that, then you're welcome to sign up here. Then we also have tabling and outreach events. Again, this is new. So for example, we have Founders Fest this upcoming weekend. You would fill out the times. You would, same thing, your name, your email, the times that you're available, the times you're not available, any notes, and a short description is provided. And if there's something like, for example, the whole grains tabling, you would do a brief 10 to 15 minute training with me to make sure you know about all of the different resources and things that we'll have. But that, of course, is a training for another time. And then just make sure that you bring in your laptop or a tablet to kind of sign and check members in. You can use your phone. I would encourage having something a little bit bulkier. Dobbs Ferry, we're going to have a tablet specifically for the market. So that's something to look forward to, but make sure you bring in a laptop or tablet, and you will have access to all these folders. I will send them via email, and they will be open to link sharing, so you'll be able to do that there. So I'm going to unmute when I have the ability to do. Okay. So does anyone have any questions? No questions? Pretty straightforward?
Yeah. I have a question.
Cool. Can I ask who's talking right now?
No. Christina?
Oh, hey, girl.
Hi.
What's up?
Do you know if it would be possible for somebody who's like new to be partnered up to somebody who's been doing this for a while?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to make sure that when we have new volunteers come in, that their shift overlaps with someone who's been here for a few months. So you'll definitely be training. I'm trying to make sure that the new volunteers will train at least for an hour with returning volunteers. Cool.
Okay.
All right, cool. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you for participating in the pilot Zoom training for the Mav Market. I have to say, I personally, I very much appreciate you guys taking the time and joining on this call. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll send you all a follow-up email. And thanks for joining. Have a splendid weekend. I hope to see you all at Founders Fest. Enjoy the fall weather. Happy pumpkin season.